I started working in the oil field when I was 20, like almost 21 in Brazil. I worked everywhere. I worked here in the States. I worked in Russia and the Emirates, some places in Central America. Like I worked everywhere. It was a very like demanding and stressful job. Mostly it's kind of like I used to work in an area that if you make mistakes, you could lose your life because something could blow up. A small mistake, it could come back as like a fine of millions and millions of dollars. Just as some context, like if you think about like a drill ship that costs $500,000 a day, if you do something that took them like 4 hours from working properly, you were just talking about a couple $100, right? So it was very stressful, yeah. I was used to work like 13 hours a day. The idea was 28 days there and 28 days home, but I was never 28 days home. States I would be in like West Texas in those like land rigs, but I can say like the 80% of the time I was offshore. Like I was in a drill ship or like a semi-sub, I was somewhere in the ocean. I did real-time geological interpretation while drilling. Like when they were drilling, they wanted to know what we were drilling. Like if we were in the reservoir, the density of the formation we're drilling, some information like geological information about the area we were drilling. So I was responsible to handle the equipment that would do those checks, the sensors and everything that would bring the information to the surface. And then I would create like a graphic out of it so the geologist could read and, decide if we should keep going or not. And the other job was is with equipment called managed pressure drilling. That's kind of like depending on how deep you are, like when you're drilling, the well is collapsing on you because it's so deep. And there is a system that pressurizes the well so the walls don't fall. It's kind of like you're putting pressure inside a well, so you keep the walls of the well in place so you don't get your drill string stuck. And it's kind of like, it's called well control. So you hold the pressure down there so it won't come up and explode everything. I was in a position that I was one of the first ones to know if something like exploratory well was successful, let's say, because I was the one giving the information to like the geologist. Like I always liked computers. They were the part where I was like carrying weight and working in the mud. But there was also the part of the job that I was working in front of a bunch of computers, checking if everything was right. And I have never coded before, but I knew that was something that I could pick up pretty fast. And after some time, being away from home I was not enjoying that anymore, because at first I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get like 20 days off. I can travel, I can do this and I can do that. And like for the past couple of years, I was getting home and not having energy to do anything. My wife would be here like waiting for me to do a bunch of stuff. And then when I was home, I was like, yeah, I just want to lay down in bed. Give me like a week. And then a week later, I would receive a call, I need you back. When I was growing up, I grew up in a city that we moved to the city when I was like 4. And my father, he didn't find a job in that city. So he was working in the city that we were living in before. So he would leave home on Monday and come back on a Friday. So I grew up with having my father only on the weekends because of that. And now that I'm thinking on, having kids, I want it to be present. I didn't want to be away 6 months every year. When my wife would be by herself growing, our child. The choice of having, Colt Steele as the teacher, it was a very good decision too. At first, I thought that the biggest problem I was going to have is not have the right, vocabulary. I mean, I speak Portuguese. English is not my main language. Even though I think I speak good English, I speak the English that I use. But he makes things look pretty easy. Even when they're complicated, he has a way of making you not worry. I think that one thing that helped me a lot was to be friends with the other students, because we would help us, like we would go through an exercise together and discuss about, I don't know, ways of applying for jobs, creating cover letters, or like, hey, I'm stuck on this on Python, can you help me out? So people would help. Like throughout the course, I got a really good mentor. I was lucky that they had a mentor coach that is Brazilian. We would speak in Portuguese. It was like cool to have someone like to speak the same language as me, helping me with everything. So she was able to kind of like show what I should focus depending on the moment I was in the course. Combination of me and her was pretty good, and also with my mentor, Jasmeet. He's such a nice guy. He sends me Skype messages from time to time, like nowadays, just to say like, man, I'm so happy. We're both back-end engineers, and yeah, it was really fun. I never felt like I was in a position where I didn't have the tools to learn something. Even when we are not in our meetings, he would send me emails like, hey, this is something that you should, check because it can help you out in the future. There was a question that they made me when I was in the first week at my job, that they said like, what was the best advice that you ever got? And I said that the advice was like, don't be a what if person. Like, don't get old with a bunch of what ifs. Like, what if I quit that job? What if I decided to do this or do that? I mean, I'm 33, I'm not that old, but I was scary about leaving 13 years of experience in an area to start on another area. It didn't take 2 weeks for me to realize that I did the right choice after I did it. So I really like it. I mean, when we have meetings, I know, and I'm pretty sure that everyone in my team, they know that I'm different. I mean, like, I don't take things too seriously, and I think that's good. I tell them, like, there's nothing in this job that can make me stress as much as I was stressing on the other job. When I see them stress, I say, like, hey, man, just breathe. Look at your feet. Are you on your flip-flops, or you're using, like, a big boot, or you're using suits all the time? Like, and he was like, my mentor, he comes and said, yeah, I'm on my flip-flops. I'm like, yeah, so chill. It's gonna, like, we're gonna find a solution for this. You're comfy, you are at home. Your job is just in front of a computer. Nothing, there's no explode button on your keyboard. I think I was very lucky on the job I got, because I work with people that they're like aware that I'm learning. So they are always like open to helping me. They have this very like good like culture of giving feedback. It makes pretty easy to know when I'm making mistakes when I'm doing things right. I wasn't used to that before, so I'm really enjoying the opportunity I was given. I even wrote a blog about it. Like they asked me to write a blog about it, like the company, and I wrote it and they posted on LinkedIn, and I didn't tell my coworkers, and when they posted, I showed them. And they were like, oh man, this is so nice. Something that you learned today, maybe tomorrow can be outdated. Realize that there's this need of, continuous growth, let's say, and the best way of doing this if we all do it together, right? I work in the Billings team. Yeah, I'm a backend engineer right now. I'm working basically with Python. With Springboard, I learned Python and JavaScript, right? So of course, there's a bunch of stuff that I still have to learn, but I had a very good understanding of Python and how things worked before. I'm not gonna say that it was pretty easy to get around things, but it was scary at first because I was afraid of doing things wrong. But with the knowledge that I got from before, from the boot camp, I was able to get things pretty fast. In a normal day, it's just like we use a Jira board, a Jira. At first, they gave me some tasks to do, like pretty simple tasks. Since I'm on the billings team, we're responsible to check like next payment dates, like to check for due dates, if people are supposed to be paying their loans today, tomorrow, when. So all the code that I touch is related to that. They're giving me small tasks. At first, they gave me like tasks just to see if I was going to be able to get around things. And now I'm working on a bigger project that's related to how we handle, users' information. Like they gave me small tasks in a way that I could understand how things worked. And when they realized that I was capable of doing things, they came to me and said, like, I want you to do something that will bring value to the company. Here's this project. I think you're able to do it, and it's your responsibility to get it done. I'm on the first class for apprentices on Affirm. They are kind of like creating their way of handling apprentices and the onboarding and how you should pick up more complicated tasks. The way that they think it's a good way for you to, scale up is to have your own project. So it's going to be awesome when I finish it and I don't, go to the Affirm website, click on a button and, oh, this is mine. This is my code.